One of the things that I've realized I struggle with when it comes to these audios is the beginning because there isn't a topic. Going in, I do sometimes have something that I want to talk about, but that's more for me. I don't have a script. I mean, that first one, I listened to it back with her and I wasn't embarrassed for what I said. It just sounded so staged. And it's part of the practice. I'm not beating myself up about it. And the thing is that the inner workings of our brain, it would be something that even if I explained, you still wouldn't fully understand because you don't see the inner world and the inner conversations and the ones that have happened in the past leading up to today. So there's a lot of that goes into it. But I think you'll learn just from listening that certain times it will be a little more clear that it's me specifically, I guess is how I would say that. And other times you would probably be thinking that you can't tell the difference between me and her. And if somebody's been around a long time, they understand what I mean by this. But if you are a listener that is new, it'll be something that you'll get eventually. It's not something I have to state. You'll just understand what I mean the more I talk. Certain stories trigger me more and certain stories trigger her more. Now, how much we let you see that we are being triggered, I guess in this case here, certain stories will hide it better. Let's just say that. Today, I chose the topic of my oldest is birth. If these audios are in order, then the last audio was talking about Brevin. Today, we are going to talk about my oldest. And it's a 26-hour labor that I will cut out a majority of it because, I mean, with 26 hours, you can assume, if you've ever had a long birth or seen one, that a lot of it is waiting. So I was very much at that point ready to be done being pregnant. I wanted to meet my child. My birthday was that same month. So it it was a lot of fun that first August. It was so much fun to just know that we were going to have a new birthday to celebrate. And at that time, he was our only one. So both my husband and I have birthdays in the same month. And then our child was now going to have a birthday in the same month. And it was so cool. So Kevin and I at the time, we had nothing else to do. So we would walk around the mall because that's what you do when you're 21 and you have no money and nowhere to go. You just walk around the mall. Now, we had a mall before that we used to walk around that had a little animal store in it, and we knew we were never going to go in and get a dog from there. We know how those work, but we did like to go and visit the animals and just show them some love. This mall was unfortunately not that much fun, but they did have a sort of ice cream place that had the most tastiest shakes. This pregnant woman wanted one. So we spent, oh gosh, I don't even know when we got there, a full day, hours just walking. Because obviously, in the middle of August in Nevada, it's hot. So there's not many places for you to walk. So we went into the mall, my husband and I, and we spent all day walking and planning our life. And we had it all planned out how this birth was going to go, while also knowing that we knew nothing. So I went to sleep that night and I don't remember having any contractions, any cramps. I didn't feel negative at all other than being tired. I mean, I was 9 months pregnant and just walked around a mall all day. But I got the shake and I was excited about that. The next morning at 5 a.m., I woke up and I was having contractions. There was something happening. And I woke Kevin up, and at the time we had no vehicle. I mean, that's why we walked around the mall. We had no vehicle. We had a bus pass. And not knowing how labor would go, you got to plan till your wife starts having contractions. Well, at that time, I was his fiance, but once your fiance is like, hey, I think the baby's coming, all bets are off and you don't know what to do. So Kevin decided, let's just get to the hospital. The hospital was about, oh man, I think the bus ride was a couple hours because you had to wait for the in between buses. It was two buses. And so we rode the bus. And it's funny, I am so thankful that we rode the bus with my oldest. When you hear my youngest, it'll make sense. But it would have been much different if we had had a 2 hour bus ride for my youngest. For my oldest, I was able to get to the hospital, but I wasn't quite, that in between. I knew that I was in labor, but I was like, even I know I'm not really at the point of probably getting admitted. So I was like, well, there's a McDonald's. Let's get breakfast. Cause I mean, I know they won't let me eat. So I know that much. I could not eat. I was in so much pain. I could not eat. And I remember I got like an egg McMuffin and it was untouched. I was like, I can't. So I remember we left McDonald's and I was like, you know what? Let's actually go get checked out. And I couldn't even get across the street. I remember there was the intersection and it's like the cars are watching me. And I mean, I hope that they saw how pregnant I was and understood I'm not just trying to move this slowly. I the light turned and people did not move because I was still in the middle. But I got across. I got into the hospital. I got checked and they said, you're at I believe it was a 2 or a 3. And I was like, please don't send me home. And they go, well, you're not where we would keep you. And I explained, I have a bus ride. I don't think I'm going to make it back. And I'm scared of what will happen. I'm 21. Don't make me go. They said, okay, we will keep you and we'll see if you progress. Now, if I was my own advocate now, okay, if I was my own mother, if I was my own aunt, if I was my own sister, I would have kept an eye on the fact that in that situation, what do you assume they then started to do? Further my labor, right? Where if I had had the ability to be at home, I probably could have stayed at home, done stuff like showers, and that's where it gets hard. Me and Kevin having a baby now would be much different than then. So I was where I needed to be. Unfortunately, it meant that they then started to push things with stuff like Pitocin. I once for 26 hours, let's say I had about 23 hours, 22, 23 that I was in the hospital. Very quickly, it was, let's start Pitocin. Very quickly, it was lay down in the bed, don't get up. So for all those hours, I didn't, other than sitting up for my epidural, I just laid in bed. And it was bad. um, I'm trying to think so the epidural was a mess, not because of necessarily the epidural, but we started out, okay, so this is just facts. No matter who listens to this is just facts. This is not me giving you an opinion on it. Though I could, it is my audio. This is just simply what happened. What happened was that so we started out with me and Kevin in the room. We get settled. We inform my mother that we are in the hospital. I believe she informed my grandparents. I don't remember, but obviously I wasn't the one informing. It was Kevin. So there is the chance, and it doesn't matter. Eventually, my grandparents found out, and they started making their way. They lived in California. So they started making their way to us, figured we have time. We told them, you probably do have time. My mother was dating a man at the time, and I mean, they were newly dating, and she also had another man who was somebody she was having a secret affair with. So, point is, there was a lot of people coming in. Once everybody showed up, there was a lot of people in and out, and Kevin had a job. I couldn't even tell you what he was doing at that time, but I do know he had a job, and he had to go to it. So, there was a lot of everybody just trying to take care of me and stepping on everybody's toes, including, especially, mine. So I remember a time that they were trying to give me my epidural, and I don't know if nobody had told my grandparents or I don't exactly know. It was very stressful, but something happened where they were doing the don't move, we're about to give you your epidural, and then somebody started banging on the door. And it ended up being my grandpa. And they're like, don't come in, you can't come in. And he's like, why? What's happened? And it just was a whole thing. So I was very upset. And then my grandma came and started trying to console me. And in the midst of just being overstimulated, I snapped at her and shoved her away, which sucks because if I had been in a better state of mind and I wasn't overwhelmed and overstimulated and in pain, she was the type of person that I would never have pushed away. She was one of the few people that I did like physical affection from. And that sucks because I can still see on her face that I hurt her. And I know that she knows deep in my heart. I know that she knows and that she knew. I was not acting myself. I was just in pain. I was giving birth. She knew that, and I know that. She knew that. So it was just very chaotic. So they eventually leave because they're like, we're not helping. Let us know when the baby's here. Um, so then for that night, I labored and we watched Frozen. And eventually, early in the morning, my perfect, handsome, angry looking face, my baby was born. And I I was numb, but more in a literal human being just came out of me and you just gave it to me. Like I wasn't even married at that time. I barely had my own place and that I don't even I don't even know if I would count that. We were so new. And then here was this little bundle of joy staring at me like I had any answers. Born to the Frozen scene. I'm trying to think of his name, Kristoff, where they're hitting the ice. So obviously that's at the beginning. We watched the movie, watched it again, and then he was born. So funny. So then my husband had to get ready for work. I mean, it's 5 a.m. So I think he went home to get some, I don't know where he ended up going. Like, I don't know when he left, and eventually it was just me, my son, and then my mom said, I'll stay since you have to go to work. I'll stay and cuddle the baby and help and all that. Well, she fell asleep, and when you're breastfeeding, there's not much somebody else can do. And there was a lot, but obviously I wasn't somebody that enjoyed being exposed. Not even to her. The only one I really at that time liked being exposed to was my husband. I mean that genuinely. Any other person, I don't want to use the bathroom in front of you. I don't want you to see me topless. I definitely don't want you to see me fully nude. Um, and even during the birth, they were taking photos. My mom was. And those photos, they don't exist anymore. But they were full between the legs photos of me. And I was not happy when I saw them because I mean, the graphicness, that didn't bother me. I don't care about that. It was just I mean, you printed this out. Like, you know what I'm saying? You didn't print it out in your own bedroom. Like, you printed it out at probably Walgreens or Walmart. I felt so exposed. Point was, she was sleeping. I wasn't. I didn't need help. I may not know what I'm doing, but I'm smart. I can figure it out. And so I took this photo of my son. Just I had my legs propped up, TV over my legs. He's just leaning, facing me, just staring at me like, what now? And it's like, dude, I don't know. I don't know. But I know it's me and you right now. Even with her a few feet away, it's like, it's just me and you, buddy. And then when daddy shows up, it's just me, you, and daddy to go home, you know? The time that it was just me and my husband, we had so much fun. Like, there is nothing more exciting than knowing you two are about to have a baby. Like, one thing my mom always told me was don't have a baby, don't, okay, don't have sex with somebody you wouldn't have a baby with. I didn't judge other people if they didn't, but I knew I checked that box. I would have a million babies with that man, even to this day, as of filming this. Every single part of me. We would have a million babies for that man. Watching him become a father was just life changing. Watching our son look at to, to our son, that's his dad. Like, that's dad. Meanwhile, I'm looking at this dude like, you're that 15-year-old boy that I hugged. You're that 15-year-old girl that I hugged, and now you're pushing a human being out? And it was like so stressful transitioning home, and it was scary. But then all of a sudden, everybody else was gone. You know, they all were, and it was still just me, my husband, and our oldest, just living life, hanging out. We had a little pug, and we said, "Here's your brother." It was all I could want. And it's like, there was little things like the catheter, and I wasn't able to pee after, and it it kind of goes along with the overall theme you're going to see in all three of these stories of when trauma impacts normal life events. For example, if you give birth and you have something traumatic happen during the birth, your baby stops breathing, you have an emergency C-section, I don't know exactly what it's called, but that like shoulder dystocia, preeclampsia, I mean, there's a million things that can go wrong during birth. That is trauma in itself. That is a traumatic birth in itself. But what happens when your birth is perfect? Okay. You might have stuff like Pitocin, like I did. You, you might have stuff like being in pain in the middle of an intersection. But there is something about walking into labor with already established trauma, whether that be trauma of being voiceless or trauma of being exposed. Think changing your clothes and then having a bunch of strangers lift your gown. Trauma with being touched, whether at all or between your legs or your breasts, obviously for like breastfeeding and stuff like that. Whether it is the doctor that is making you uncomfortable, the nurse that's making you uncomfortable, or a family member in the room with you that is making you uncomfortable, it still feels like you lose control because you can't just say, no, I understand. Yes, you can say, no, take your hands off me. That's not what I mean. But it's kind of like you say, no, I don't want you to touch me between the legs. They're going to look at you and go, how do you want this to work then? You get what, like, I don't mean in any way that you are not allowed to say no. That's not my point. My point is it makes it harder on you. because then their response is, you're blowing this out of proportion. We're just doing normal stuff. For example, during the birth, I was splayed open and my mother was, taking photos, and she asked if she could touch. I'm going to be honest with you. As I'm saying this, I want to tell you that this was my youngest's birth, this exact moment. But I also want to tell you this was my oldest's birth. So a part of me thinks it might have happened at both. So if I am wrong, you wouldn't know if I was, but if I am wrong about it being this birth, then it is the second birth. But I kind of feel like it was both. I just want that, because if I tell a truth, I want you to understand that I am telling the truth. I don't want you to think like, oh, well, that detail's different, because understand that all of this is happening in the middle of giving birth. So memories get a little, but I want to say it was both. And what I mean is that my mother said, and in the midst of it all, I was like, sure, not realizing what I was agreeing to. And what I was agreeing to was my mother took her hand and she placed it between my legs and she touched my son's head. She felt his hair. Before me, before my husband, she touched her child. She touched our child while he was still inside me. Okay. She did ask permission though. And that's the thing. That is why I wasn't allowed to be mad. Because, well, I asked. Yes, I did consent to that. Whether it was for my oldest or for my youngest, I did consent to that. I just didn't understand how violating it would feel. And I did not know that once she did that, for years after, she would boast to everybody, including me, that she got to touch him first. Once again, as an advocate for myself, as a mother to myself, aunt to myself, grandma to myself, whatever, I feel that I should have been able to touch my child first. Now, if Kevin had been the one to do this, would have been a very different reaction from me. He's his father. I can deal with that because that makes sense. What a wonderful blessing for him. I am okay with that. Truly, I am. If he had been the one to touch him, that would have been okay. And touching me between my legs, like, that would have been okay. But I said yes, and that's why it was kind of like, well, you let her do it, so you don't get to be mad. And maybe if this really did happen in this birth, then maybe that is why she was, like I said, it haunted me though, because it I didn't even really plan to put my hand down there, but I wasn't even asked. Like, it wasn't a situation of, it's like, do you want to touch his head? And then I said yes, and then she grabbed my hand and put my own hand there. She just touched. So then to be told, well, I got to touch him first. I'm the first one to ever touch him. It got old quick, It got real old quick. Because after 26 hours of labor, it's like you kind of deserve a little something. And it's like, I'm talking about it now. And maybe there'll be a situation that it reminds you of, or someone you know. And maybe you'll feel a little less blowing it out of proportion. Because we're not. Give me another situation where you can just touch somebody between the legs and then boast, I got, like, it, kind of weird. Hence why I just decided to do it. Don't help me with breastfeeding. Don't help me change my pads. Don't, just leave me alone, Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, when you're telling a birth story, I guess you stop with once they're born. I don't. I struggle with the beginning and I struggle with the ending. If it was up to me, I would just talk all day. The fact I can't tell you which birth it is makes me sad, because when I tell you the third birth story, it's like I already know what certain things are going to be, and when I'm going to say it right after what I've just told you, it sucks. Because if it wasn't a big deal, I would be able to tell you, oh, it only happened the one time. Oh, it only, it happened twice. Oh, it happened for the, like, I just know that both times I got touched, and both times I was scared without even knowing I was scared, and that's confusing. That's really confusing to be scared and not even know you're scared. Just think like, oh, I'm scared because of giving birth. But that's the thing. I wasn't scared of giving birth. I was scared of being a bad mom. I was scared of failing my child. I was scared of the pain. I mean, when you don't know what giving birth feels like, it's like you kind of make the pain up in your mind. And I never would have been able to understand the full pain I would feel. But thankfully, I didn't know that I would get an epidural with my first birth. I would not get an epidural with my third birth. Thankfully, it was not 26 hours, but that's kind of the problem. And that's why I'm very thankful that but we will talk more about that at another time.